Have you ever faced relentless societal pressures and harsh judgments just for pursuing your passion? Imagine being called names and doubted simply because you are a woman working late into the night.
Those kind of experiences has taught me how to respond to those situations.
Today's guest on Career Stories knows this struggle all too well. Despite the constant criticism and societal expectations, she rose to lead diverse teams and deliver remarkable results.
Microsoft mission statement is to empower every person and organization to do more or achieve more.
Her journey took a new turn as she moved from India to Germany, where she encountered yet another set of cultural challenges, adapting to a new work culture while remaining true to her roots.
I feel that being authentic is better than to hide behind a mask 16 hours a day.
Join us as we explore the inspiring journey of Sonalaxmi Sarkar.
At what point did you become a manager? At what point did you start managing people?
I've been managing people since I started working.
Okay.
So when I was in a student service administrator role, and I will come to that, what a manager means and what a leader means. I've been managing people. I was managing people. I'm repeating again. I was managing people earlier when I started my job. Whether I was a student administrator, I was managing faculties, machine room support guys, people like students, and managing them to get my work done.
Okay.
I was managing somehow, whether it's, for example, scheduling their shifts in the machine room support, ensuring the student gets enough exposure before he or she, before the person decides to join a course, and so on and so forth. So I was managing that. Then I became a trainer. When you're a trainer, you're managing 100 people. Yeah, you're managing their expectations. You're managing how the class would go. I will manage office support, logistics support to ensure 100 people are sitting in class and having everything in place for their education. I had a team of training executives who used to do that for me. So I was managing people there.
But what I meant by that question was, as you mentioned, it is still a patriarchal society back home.
Yeah.
And where a trainer or somebody who schedules things together and gets people together is still seen in a non-threatening way. But when you become an official titled manager, then it's a whole nother level of difficulties. I would imagine that. So I was talking to more of that challenges that you faced.
Oh yeah, I knew you were coming to that. So I became after HP, 2 years in HP. I got an opportunity to be a manager. So in the title, manager. So I was the talent transformation and knowledge management manager / head for the whole APAC region in Wipro Infotech.
Okay.
There's where I had a couple of resources whom I used to people manage. But at that time, being a leader, a woman who's just 23 years old.
Wow.
Just 23. I was 23 then. And I had this position. So the first thing that came to people mind, who is this 23-year-old who's going to come and manage this whole region of APAC, Middle East and Asia and Asia Pacific, and going to drive talent transformation and knowledge management for 4 largest businesses within Wipro. How she's going to do this? She's a girl. She's just come from, HP and, and everybody that I had to deal with were already big shots in their career. They were all heads of, and I used to work with the practice heads, the business heads to define how the career, how training will build their career, and what kind of Of course, so what kind of career levels they will go through and how the training will be created and so on and so forth. Also do knowledge enclaves, have knowledge management sessions, build a knowledge management system, and so on and so forth. At that time, I had only 2 people reporting to me. However, this is about managing, ensuring that even leaders or practice heads, sales heads, listen to you. Because you're the decision maker of everybody's career in the organization.
True.
So at that time, hard change resistance came from people. Accepting me was a big challenge for people. So at that time, my manager was very, very renowned in the company, and thankfully, and that's where my manager, who's a leader, should be very powerful to ensure that he or she empowers their subordinate to do that role successfully. So he was the one who ensured that I was empowered enough to make those decisions. So he introduced me to the people. He took me to all the meetings, all the business meetings, the QBRs and things like that. So he was the one who was responsible and most supportive for me in my career to build this.
But was it also the first, like, it's one thing to give somebody credibility, bring some credibility to your mentee and, give them challenging tasks. Another thing is to not shield, but to help them with the politics of the organization. Because as the number of people increase, and it becomes difficult. There is envy. There is, I don't know, why should I listen to a 23-year-old, as you said?
Yeah, absolutely.
So what was your first encounter with organizational politics? And you said, wow, I didn't expect this, and this is how I dealt with it.
Oh yeah, I would rather use the word organizational dynamics. Yes, it's always the case. You will always face that anywhere you go, irrespective of the organization. I had faced many such challenges. I was thrown under the bus many times. And that's why at that point of time, there were 2 people, and that's where leaders come in and not managers, was my boss and my super boss.
Okay.
These are the 2 people who I used to, because I was 23 and sometimes I was not so mature, like a 40-year-old or 50-year-old what I am now. I don't want to give out my age, but however, at that time, you look up to somebody, and that somebody were these 2 people.
Okay.
They were always assertive. She will take the decision. She is going to take this. She's going to sign on this. She will tell us what to do, and she will drive this. So it was always they. Even if they went there, or if I went and complained, they used to help me, come back to my core power as that role to do that job.
Yeah, but doesn't that mean that she is to be the blame because it's her decision?
Yeah. So I own up everything, right? But my manager is the head of the department. So as a leader, if I'm the head of the department, I take the blame when it comes to taking blame. But when it comes to giving credit, it's always your people who you're working for. And has always worked.
Okay.
And then is to, for example, if you are my reportee or you're my subordinate, I will come and give you feedback. And you should know how to give feedback. Yeah. So, and if somebody is giving you feedback, you are the luckiest person to get that feedback. That's how I take it. Because that person has taken time to think about you to give you some kind of feedback. Some feedback you may not agree to. Some feedback you will say, okay, fine, whatever. And then some feedback you will, in your subconscious mind, agree to and say, okay, this is something I could have done because the person who's giving you this feedback has some experience. So it's always the case in leadership as a leader, and that's why I don't want to use the word manager. Is as a leader will ensure that you are empowered to take decisions, make mistakes, own them up, be responsible, and be successful, and also ensure that he creates that environment for you to be successful, whether it's to deal with office dynamics, whether it's to deal with any budgets that they need to give you for training, support during supporting during specific decision making, or making connections on networks. That's the leader's role, to enable you in through giving you a safe and equipped environment to do your best. That's a leader. And a manager should be a leader, but many of the times today, managers remain managers, line managers.
Yeah.
So, you need to travel. Okay, they'll say, you cannot travel beyond 300 euros in a day. So, so that's your line manager.
Yeah.
But when it comes to a leader, the same manager can behave in a different way to make your environment soothing for you or comfortable for you to be your best. So that's the difference I see, and I have learned over the years.
So you're very lucky with good leaders around you. But
Not always.
Yeah, that's what my next question was. Was there a time when you worked with somebody who was like absolutely bad?
Yes.
And you felt like, what am I doing here?
Yes.
Of course, you can't name names, but...
I will not name. But I was in a situation where I was micromanaged the minute in the day. And how much ever I did, it was never enough for this guy to be happy. And I realized that it was his insecurities that had made him to behave like this. So it's never a lack of experience. It's inability to accept change and work with different people. So he came from a company where he was in a very structured I would say environment. So there was structure, there was policy. He came to set up a new team for a completely new organization. This was a transformation program. I will not name it, but it was a complete transformation program. And he was new in the organization that I worked. But I knew this organization for quite some time. I was already in this organization. It was just a department change. And what happened is he was to manage me minute by minute. He used to call me, and so he used to call me in his cabin. He used to open his diary and he used to take notes. So tell me what was the activity you're doing? Oh, okay. So why this was not done? So he used to mark things, which made me so uncomfortable. I used to dread to go to office every day.
What is the difference between micromanagement and the way people are tracking tasks now?
Instead of appreciating what I completed for the day, the tasks or the outcomes, he used to track every minute of what I am doing. That's the difference. So what are my activities? Whether for example, if I go out for a coffee break, you went out for a coffee break for half an hour. You arrived at 8:15 instead of 8:10 to office. And then what was the discussion? What did he ask? So he wanted to know every detail about my discussion with my customer or partner. Instead of saying, okay, what was it that you wanted to achieve today? Or is there a question that I can support with? And support was never there. So that's the difference of micromanaging activities by us questioning what you're doing rather than looking forward to what you achieved for today.
Yeah.
So outcome based versus activity driven. If I start policing you, like again another parenting tip. Yeah. So okay, so whom did you meet? Why did you meet? What did he say? What did you say? When instead of asking this question, okay, so what did you learn from him or today? Did you learn how to run across for 100 meters, or did you learn how to play business monopoly? Instead of asking, oh, so what did he tell you? This is the difference I want to bring in, in terms of what is activity-based policing, questioning versus an outcome-based. So that's something you track about success. Success can be measured in many ways, I think. Most of the leaders speak about it. Most of the companies have KPIs. But as a manager, what can you do? Yeah. At the end of the day, I cannot say, okay, I went for 5 minutes to the toilet, half an hour I had a coffee, 3 minutes I had a discussion with the manager. Also, I met the manager in the lift. So he had such specific questions.
Yeah.
So I couldn't be there for more than a year, and I changed my role, thankfully. And even when I changed my role, he wanted to know how I got that role. And I'm like, I cannot explain how I got that role. This is what I got it. And I achieved what I wanted. So he was not happy that he was not checked with before I got the role. Yeah. So the policies were clear of the organization. You find a new role and you're able to bring up a backup in the organization. It's easy for you to move. You have no right to take a feedback of behavior or anything from the previous manager. So it's because you're there. So he was not happy that without his knowledge I could get a new role within the organization. So it was every day going to office was horrendous for me. Oh. So that was an experience, and at that time sometimes you become spiteful, and then you want to just take revenge, but you can't do that in an organization. But that gave me some learnings of how to deal with difficult people.
Does it get harder as you grow in an organization? Is it more and more challenging to be with people who are see you as a competition? And
it is normal, right? I mean, people will always see you as competition if you are in a place where you have come from similar backgrounds, and then suddenly you are ahead of them. They will always see you as competition. Some mature colleagues will see you as a motivation. That okay, what is it that he, she, or the person, I don't want to use he or she, the person done to achieve this? What are those skills? Or what different has this person done to be there? Because sometimes people backside or talk bad, saying, oh, she must have slept her way through. Or they will say, she must be licking. These are the words they use most of the, they used to use in India. I'm not come across here, but these are some things that people think, especially when it's a woman, that goes on the top. However, how you can deal with these people is bring them onto the same page by telling them what makes them happy. At the end of the day, it's human nature. And if you're able to break ice with those people, you will know exactly what ticks with them. And you can try. And I'm sure you will not be successful with all the people. Some people you can't change, and this is normal, right? This is human psychology. You cannot change some people of how they think, what they think about success, how to receive success, how can I be open-minded to take feedback, receive feedback, give feedback, learn from them. They think learning from somebody else is like, inferior somehow. But no, you can learn from everybody.
True.
And that's something you need to deal with in terms of when it comes to people feeling jealous because of competition. And at the end of the day, you're human. Yeah, you will feel the fire, the pain. You will feel, but what can you do? You slowly you build your resistance, and then you keep moving. And if you continue to share, if people want to learn from you, be happy to share. The more you share, the more you learn. Like I said, always while training as well. Yeah. So this is how you deal with as you grow up. And as you grow up, as you grow up to the CXO, CIO, and the board level, you become lonely.
Okay.
And it is true. It's not easy to be at a position and have too many friends. Then you really have friends whom you can literally count on fingers. And I learned this from one of the top CXOs here in Germany. And I can't say, the person mentioned that as you go up, you become all the more lonely. It's a very lonely position. It's not easy.
Okay.
You will find that.
I have a couple of leadership conundrums, I would say. So, let's say you are in a leadership team with other peers who are also managing big teams. Of course, there is a competition to go to the next level. But at the same time, all of you have to work together as a team to make sure that the organization goes right. The question is, have you been in a situation where you had to collaborate with your competitors, and how have they dealt with your success when you were eventually going forward, or how have you dealt with their success when they have sometimes won and you have not?
In the same team, you mean?
I could imagine if somebody is a CEO, he must be having 4 or 5 reportees, and they're all competing to become the next CEO. The scenario like that.
There had been, especially when it comes to promotions.
Yeah.
And we were about 15 in the same team. And there were only 2 women. And then other were males. And so you get designation changes. Your work might be similar, but as you change as you grow, you get bigger, I would say, programs to manage. All of us were at senior manager levels, and the question was to get a change in the band. And then look for programs which are larger than transformation programs, which are larger than $150 million. So it was interesting because, one, you have to work with them because you might have a couple of these colleagues in the same program. And to be successful, have a successful program, you have no choice but to work as a team. So we ensured that we kept our competition aside, which was great, to work together to ensure that end project is successful. So our measurement was CSAT, customer satisfaction. So if I have to get a 7 on 7, I have to have each one of get 7 on 7. So your success, for example, is I'm dependent on your success. If you do not get 7 on 7 in your area, I do not win.
Okay.
And I would win and I will be promoted only if I get 7 on 7. So I have to get it. So I have to work with these people. And the same set of people. But when I have to grow, then I have to identify things that are different to the same skills that we all have for the promotion, because everybody got 7 on 7. So what is it that makes me different?
And you have to justify that to your...
I have to justify and showcase that to my manager to say, what is it that is different from these or better from these people that I should get this promotion?
But how does one differentiate oneself in this scenario? Like, what are the qualities that would make you...
Those are the qualities, those are your personal qualities that will make you different. For example, the way you deal with people, the way others perceive you, the way your customers perceive you. So for example, some people may get 7 on 7 on the execution, but I used to get big comments in the by my customer explaining the emotional part of how they felt of working with me.
Okay.
So that was my edge then. That what was the differentiator out of that 7? Because everybody got 7 on 7. Everybody's successful. How do you manage this?
Yeah.
So that was one of the differentiators. So there are many differentiators. Obviously, I cannot share all my differentiators, and I will not remain different as a leader to be someone who is completely an outlier or outstanding person. Just on the lighter note.
Would you ever promote somebody who you know will become a competition to you?
It's a difficult question to answer. However, I would definitely promote somebody who can become my competitor. But at the same time, I will immediately start investing in myself to become the next level. Or move out, because sometimes when you have two competitors, when you have competitors at the same team, there could be head bangs, or it can be fiery situation. So when I am prepared I can move out, and I'm preparing myself to move out of that situation, why not promote the person? Because it is good for the team or that organization or that to achieve their goals. So sure, why not? It will be really hard, and I do not deny emotions around it. But I think after my journey for the last, I would say 5-6 years, I've learned that I've been trained, or I've learned through my experience that it's important that you promote people for the positions that they deserve and not stop them. Because the moment I do that, I have already created a respect within that person's mind that she knows that I'm the person's competitor, but still I'm helping the person to get this job or getting promoted. And that's when I leave my insecurities out.
Okay.
It is hard, but you have to learn.
Yeah.
So I in fact, this is another situation. This is another question a lot of people ask me, that because I used to take time even for my MBA colleagues who are similar and they want to join, say, Microsoft or my ex companies, and I know that I used to spend time to coach them. Now I lack time, but I used to coach them to get a particular job. But I do that with very few people in deep coaching. But then or how to prepare for the job, not to get the job, because getting a job is dependent on them. But how to, update their resume. I still do some very close, very, very, very selective close friends. But generally, if somebody asks me, then I give them very quick tips of what needs to be done. So the more you invest time or let these people grow, you already create a respect in their mind, because at the subconscious, the person is really honest to themselves. In the subconscious mind, they know that this person has helped me, even if
it was a threatening thing. Yeah,
it's for the threat for them. Yeah.
You were mentioning about your MBA colleagues. How critical has MBA become to become a leader in the current scenario?
I wouldn't say that it's a critical thing to do or take up in this current scenario to become a leader. Only thing that has changed me as a person is the information and tools that I received during this MBA program to think differently or take decisions, say, for example, in uncertainty. And the experience or the learnings I have from my cohort members. Because most of the team, most of the people that they hire onboard onto the program are executives or senior managers, minimum senior managers. So you learn from these people how they think in this situation. How do others, like global global people think in this situation? How other leaders think in this situation while making decisions. Those are the experiences I learned. So MBA is a program, because it's a program where you get so many people from different perspectives together. But MBA makes you a leader is a totally false perception.
Okay. Can you enlighten us with one example where you thought, oh, I've never thought about this before, and this course has taught me to think in this way?
Yeah, sure. So I'm a commerce graduate. This is the best example I can give. I have learned what balance sheets are day in and day out in college, university. But somehow I was not in touch with balance sheets until, let's say, 4 or 5 years as I started, because I was not doing a P&L role. And from then to when I started doing a P&L/finance, P&L plus budgeting and everything, at that time I was not very well versed with it. And well versed as in, I know how to manage a P&L, do the budget mix, have a profit and loss statement, ensure that the, resources are and basic. But when I looked at balance sheets from a report perspective. So like, how will I know, let's say Cadbury as a company is doing great? So how do I measure company's performance? By looking at its balance sheet. What kind of investments they have done, what over the years, what kind of profits they have made, what kind of losses they have made, so by reading the balance sheets and the way they have reported the balance sheets gives me a lot of information about the company. And then you can make a decision based on, if I look at this balance sheet, what are the things, where were the investments done correctly? Where the investments were wrong? What were the losses? Why they were? How it was adjusted? Whether the company is good? Whether the company is a fraud? Have they done it rightly? I never thought it from that way. I used to look at balance sheet, but now I can look at balance sheets and learn it this way. That was one example. Second example, I can give another example, is every day is uncertain. Today we have wars, 3 wars going on. And we have no idea how that war would affect the economy. Today here, whether it's in India, whether it's in Germany, whether it's in the US. And how do I take decisions in this uncertainty? What should I do? Where should I invest now? As an individual, where should I invest? Real estate, should I do in India? India is growing, great economy. But should I do a real estate investment in India? What about infrastructure, water, air? No. Then should I do it in Germany? Oh my God. Do I know? Interest rates are 5%. But interest rates are 5.1% here. But in India, interest rates are 9%, 10%, 11%. So what do I do? Should I take money from here to invest in India? Or what? So these are the decisions you can make when you have these tools with you in mind. That makes you a different person in terms of what I was and what I am today. So that's where MBA helps. And mine was not a normal MBA, it was an executive MBA. So you only only have cohort members who are executives, like senior members, senior managers and above. When you do a normal MBA just after college, graduation, when you get into masters, at that point, MBA helps you, the companies, to sort the people they want to hire. So it's an eliminating thing. And then MBAs with premier colleges becomes the next filtration. So that's when MBA really helps you to get a job, because at that time the company knows you went through difficult situations and difficult exams to be there. That's where your MBA really helps you to get a better role. But a leader is nothing to do with an MBA. A manager is nothing to do with an MBA. You get to learn tools and techniques and learn from experiences to make you a different person when you think. This is my experience.
What motivated you to take the leap and do an executive MBA?
Good question. Again, goes back to my university days. So at that time, what was my problem? Money, finance. I always wanted to do an MBA then because I wanted to get a good job. I wanted to get that lakh rupees. And now then MBA brings after college and other, you look at a newspaper and you say, oh my God, this MBA grad has got some package of, I don't know, lakhs of rupees, millions of dollars, and so on and so forth. And so that was the time I wanted to do MBA. And if you have to do MBA, I could still do an MBA, which was a distance learning MBA, which would not have costed me much. But then, again, in India, when we think of doing an MBA, it's always Ivy League.
True.
Otherwise, you don't. Otherwise, your MBA doesn't mean anything because there are lakhs of MBAs, millions of MBAs across. No? But then when you think about Ivy League students, then you have lists. You have Kellogg, you have Columbia, and you have Chicago Booth, and blah, 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 and so on and so forth. And that time you feel, can I do this? And it's a lot of money again. So that was one always there. So I always wanted to do an MBA from an Ivy League.
Okay.
So therefore, I chose Kellogg first. Why I chose to do executive MBA now is where I had a personal situation, which probably I would not like to discuss. But at that time, the aggression and the energy that I had to divert it.
Okay.
And the only way to divert it was to invest in something that will make me better. And it was so hard that time. But when I discussed with a couple of my mentors, they said, I think this would be a good time for you to invest your time in doing an executive MBA. And another reason was there was a colleague of mine who had registered for it and when I spoke with him, I found it quite interesting that the MBA can be done from here in Germany. It's not very far. And you still get a dual degree. So that way, it was a win-win situation for me. And I said, yeah, so now I should be able to pay for it. Of course, I had to take a loan, but it was still possible for me to repay it, which would not have really been possible then. So that's what.
You mentioned that your mentors have played a critical role in this decision-making process. How does one find a good mentor? Or when do you say, okay, this mentor has really is shaping me now, is a good mentor, I should stick around and learn from this person? Because it's usually not the case that your line manager could be a good mentor or...
Line managers, we always say not to have a mentor as a line manager. Neither a coach nor a mentor. A line manager should not be there because a line manager can get biased.
True.
Unconsciously. Even if they don't want to. They can be the best line managers you can have, but they cannot be a mentor. Always choose a mentor who's outside your reporting line. It's recommended. How do you choose a mentor?
Or how do you say, okay, whatever is going on between our conversations is actually motivating and like in your case, you have perfect mentors who told you, yes, now is the time to go for this MBA?
Well, they are one of my mentors. So choosing a mentor is tough.
Yeah.
So you need to choose a mentor who this is a completely in-depth conversation that this will require another
podcast.
Yeah, another podcast probably, how to choose mentor and mentorship. However, you look for a mentor who, how I did it is, I look for somebody who I aspire to be.
Okay.
So that was one of the CIOs I spoke with. And he had also done this MBA. And I asked him the same question. Did this MBA help you to become a CIO? He said no. But what it helped him is to, again, build a network, have a different perspective. So he said, maybe this will help you with what you're dealing with right now. So he was aware about my personal situation. I shared with him. And so that's how I chose him to be one of my mentors. So he's not the only mentor, but I have a couple of mentors. But and then one of my managers was also my mentor, but not when he was my manager.
Okay. You also mentioned one critical thing about building networks, like your CIO mentor. The critical thing that he walked away from the executive MBA was to build a strong network of other leaders whom he can draw lessons from, learn from their mistakes.
Yeah.
This question is particularly regarding younger practitioners or people who are aspiring to be like you. How to balance between networking and making friends? Or there should be a difference, or is more or less the same?
No, it's a big difference. Making friends is completely different than making a network. So networking can be for friendship or for professional reasons or both.
Okay.
And if you are so mature enough to use your mentorship and friendship and still build professionally, you have achieved a level of balance. You're absolutely great, and it's not easy. The difference is when you make friends, you also need to network. So you should have the art of making friends where you identify the kind of friends you need, because you're defined by the friends you have.
True.
In my case, I have friends of all types, but I don't know whether I can say that it's the right definition. But yeah, So if you have to make friends, also you need to be open to new people or ability to talk. Again, friends, types of friends, there are different types of friends. What kind of friends you want? Just having fun, or you want a deep friendship. Again, that's a different story.
Yeah.
And networking professionally is completely different. Is where you look for like-minded professionals or some common theme that you want to discuss, that interests you, and you want to use it for your professional growth. And then these are two different methods. A professional networking is where you choose the people or the roles that you want to be or learn from, and you need to use a certain language or approach to reach out to them.
Okay.
And for friendships, it's a different. Like you meet you go for an expat, for example, you go for an expat forum and you make friends. For example, you have here internations, you make friends. You have a beer, you go out, and that's where you can also grow your personal passion. So, for example, traveling, photography, podcasts, music. So you can make friends, and there again you need networking skills to make those friends and meet people. And then you have a separate networking skills. Again, you still need networking skills to build your professional network. And once you build a network, sometimes it's like clicking on LinkedIn and saying, okay, I have this connection. But how do you use that connection?
Yeah.
Is another total. I also need training, much more training in that. But yeah, that's how to. There are many such podcasts and trainings that you can go through, and it's very very widely available. Is to learn networking in the professional side. So networking is required. Whatever, you should know how to break ice with people, let go your inhibitions, be the first one to approach. So things of that sort. So yeah.
So you are at a level where I presume, I could be wrong, like most of your day is eaten up by your work because you are responsible for such a big tasks within the organizations. How do you find time to network and to have friendships also? Because then, and another aspect to this is your health, your relationships. That's another whole conversation. But how do you balance this?
Yeah. So there was another topic which was about work-life balance.
Okay.
But I always have said there's nothing called as work-life balance. You have a life. Your day is 24 hours. That's your life. Work is 8 hours of your life. That's work, part of your life. You have work which is related to a company or your business or whatever, where you're earning money, you're doing some tasks and you're earning money. Then you have work which you have to do at home. The daily chores, cooking, cleaning, washing, that's also work. Does that mean that your life doesn't need that extra time of work? No, right? That's also work. It's part of your life. Then you have family. You have to spend time with your family. You have to spend time with your kids. And then you have to spend time with friends. And you have to spend time with, neighbors maybe. In this. So if I keep 8 hours away to sleep, that's important. That's what doctors say. You have to sleep. So how do you manage the rest of the 16 hours?
Yeah.
So what can I do? I can only create a table for myself or a schedule for myself, which honestly is very hard. Especially I also have to travel, but I need to create that schedule that these are my boundaries. I will not work beyond 8 hours.
Okay.
I will ensure that these 8 hours I spend, out of which mostly study says 6 hours is productive, and we use the rest 2 hours within the office and professional area to network, to understand, to take a break, to relax, to wind down. So I will provide this 8 hours of work to my office, and then I leave that aside. Then I have my next few hours where I want to spend with my family and do my work. So in a family, you then depends on how you want to spend your time the next day. And then you have to eat, then you have to also sleep on time, maybe watch Netflix for that matter, or also go for a walk. If you have pets, then you also need. So then it's upon a person how I cannot say that this is the right way to do. But you have to create. The main part is this is your life. And there is nothing called as work-life balance. It's always setting boundaries to create your balance.
Okay.
That's my mantra for.
Thanks for sharing that. So when you were aspiring to, like, as you mentioned at the beginning of the conversation, that your father had a dream that you become a managing director of an organization, and you're pursuing that right now.
Yeah.
I am also aspiring to be in a leadership role, or let me look back and say, when I was a developer, I was aspiring to be an architect. How was it for you? Was it fulfilling? Was it all that you expected, or was it not that great? Or what?
Never. Sorry, it's never what. Not always what I expected. I have done. I started by being a trainer. Then was a help desk analyst. How is it even related? Then I was again a trainer, technical trainer, plus service manager. How is that even related?
Yeah.
So every time, it has never been what I expected. Never. From HR, I moved to business, IT infrastructure. Then I became a transformation program director. It was never expected. However, I take challenges as they come. Now I realize that I have all the ingredients.
Now,
How many of us will have a HR plus IT delivery plus sales plus operations plus transformation programs, program director, consulting director, all these, so many experiences which was never expected. I thought, okay, I will, like you said, you become a developer, then you become an architect, then you become a team lead, then you become blah, blah, then you become a technical director, and then you're there. I never thought of any of this. I wanted to gather as much as experience I can. I knew that, but I have to do business. If I have to understand, if I have to do core business, if I have to understand how the business works. So from HR, thankfully, I had the opportunity. So I took the opportunity. I said, I have to take this opportunity because I know I will be good at this. So let me try. Just let me try. If I fail, I fail. I failed in one of my projects. I have failed. I was so scared. It was my first transformation project in the US, and it failed. I mean, I was so scared because I didn't know what the customer wanted. I had no experience about application development. I was an infrastructure person. They asked me to do a transition for that. What do I do? So it was a failure for me, but I didn't fail the project. But it was a failure for me. Learn from there. No harm in trying. So it never went as expected. I never thought, okay, I will be a managing director, so I will work backwards and look at what are the things I need to be, which ideally should have been the case. But I never thought. So today I'm doing a completely different role. It's a partner alliance management role. Never done this role as a sales before. I've managed with alliances. I've worked with alliances, worked with many partners before, managed them. But this is a completely new role. So again, I would look for other different roles, like field sales role, maybe, I don't know. I look for marketing roles. So my aspiration keeps changing. Somebody will say, oh, she doesn't even have a goal in life, where she wants to be. But okay, I take life as it comes because it's uncertain.
But then the debate becomes about generalist versus specialist. Like if you're faced with this dilemma where you have to choose between a generalist and a specialist, who would you choose and why?
So my answer is it depends. Okay. Because it depends on what kind of role it is. If you need, for example, if I just take an IT example, if I need a storage specialist, would somebody hire me? No. Because I'm not a storage specialist. I cannot sell specific storage devices or storage technology or database technology. I cannot do that as a specialist. Because if somebody asks me, okay, tell me now, what's the difference between this AWS storage technology versus, I can give an overall. But if you get into details, I will not be able to answer. Similarly, if somebody speaks about say PLM in manufacturing. Although I'm from IT, I can look at everything. Tell me, how does PLM and mobility in manufacturing work? I'm not a manufacturing sales specialist. So for each role that requires to be done, you need that specification. I can be a generalist in any industry. I can be a leader. I can be a sales leader. I can be a transformation leader. I can drive change. I can, so I have those capabilities which drive people to do their jobs. Is to make the people comfortable to do their jobs to their best.
Would it be right then to imply that as a generalist, you are more equipped to be a leader? And as a specialist?
For me, yes. But for somebody else, let's say a CIO or let's say a leader of telecom company. If I bring a generalist there, and the leader of the telecom company has to make decisions on whether he should do a 5G in India versus a 4G in Germany, what should he do? He should have some idea about it, right?
Okay.
See, I would not say CEO, maybe a CIO, or the sales specialist or say decision-making technical specialist. So that's a CTO of a company has to make that decision whether if 5G, how the 5G has to be implemented, what should be the infrastructure needed, and so on. He has a team, specialist team, while he's a generalist. But still, he needs to understand 1G, 2G, 3G, 4G, 5G.
True.
To implement that.
True.
Now let's take an example of Mr. Ambani. He or Tata has all the businesses.
Yeah.
Do you think they are specialists of all businesses?
No, certainly not.
And why they are still successful leaders?
That's what I'm trying to find out.
Yeah, depends now. However, if I move from, say, like you will grow into a technical architect, then you will become a architect manager and so on. At some point of time, if you want to grow there, so there are two ways. When you become an IC, individual contributor, or you become a people manager. With people manager comes all these things of line management, issues, daily issues, performance management, mentorship, leadership, care, support, growth, and all that. You still grow in IC, where you become an individual contributor and you don't need to manage people. You are great technically and you grow. These are both options. Or you become a complete generalist, which you become maybe a department head or you grow that way. Or you become a CIO, CEO, and so on and so forth.
Okay.
Many a times, some of the leaders, like if I take a leader like say Satya. Satya can do a technical presentation without looking at PowerPoint slides just like that. Because he has been a core developer, engineer from there, and he knows things, and he can answer technical questions. And that's why he has not only is a generalist, plus he's a technical specialist, plus he's a people's person. So that's why he's such a great leader. Everybody looks to him. But if you look at Warren Buffett, he's great financially, but will you have him as CEO of a company? I'm not sure. Yeah. So what I'm trying to get to is the skills or the kind of leadership you're looking at. Whether you are individual contributing as a leader, where you might have to work with many people, because at the end of the day, you cannot be working single-handedly. You need a village to be to make something successful. So, yeah. So it depends. Choice is yours. How you want to build it. And for me, a leadership is about orchestration.
True.
And I would say for the young people today, every single person is a leader.
Okay.
Why? And you should behave like one is because you are your own leader. You lead your own ways, and your behavior of making the environment, even if you're a developer, you will work with other developers, you will work with an infra guy. Okay, give me space in the server. Okay, now tell the network guy, bring the connectivity to me, give me the user ID. Okay, open the SSS VPN for me, check, do the testing. So I need testers. Sure. I need customers. I need my manager, so he approves. I need a project manager, so he provides me budget and approve. So as a developer, even as a fresher, you need to work with 10 people.
Sure.
So you are a leader because you have to get your work done by these people.
Sure.
So a leader is born the day the person gets to get work done. Your mom at home is a leader.
True.
she gets work done from her. So everybody is a leader. So really to understand is the difference. Manager, people manager and a leader. People manager can be a manager, not necessarily a leader too. So depends on the behavior. Leadership is behavior science, nothing to do with
The
designation.
Yeah. That's a fantastic thought. And I have overstepped my allocated time for sure. And I don't want to intrude into your private time. But I cannot resist asking you this one philosophical question. Because you are in a leadership role in a big organization. If a layman has to summarize what a person at your designation does, is process a lot of information and make strategic decisions.
Yeah.
Is what somebody would say. Then the question becomes, what stops us or stops an organization from replacing you with a lot of their data that they have built over years and years and years, to feed it to something like a large language model and give it proper agency and authorities to make decisions. Of course, it will not be perfect at the beginning, but eventually it will get there. What do you think about this philosophical thought experiment? Is it really that simple, or is that simplification, this reduction in ideas, is oversimplified and doesn't represent reality?
It cannot be possible because you can bring out data. You can take data-driven strategic decisions. But however, the intelligence, which is a tacit knowledge of a human being, the ways we think cannot be fed into a computer the way we would like it to process. So at the end of the day, machine is dependent on the data we provide
Okay.
it.
Yeah.
If you put in data language which is not conducive, that's where responsible AI comes in, which is not conducive to the society. The language model will learn itself to be rude, to be ruthless, to be wrong. But human brain has the ability to control that in their mind. You're able to train your mind to not speak bad words or be irresponsible or use wrong terms. That's one example. Second is the intelligence that we want to provide to the data comes from the human. They can learn and make repetitive learnings. But new intelligence that comes from the human mind, the tacit knowledge. And that's why the best machine is the human brain.
True.
And this intelligence cannot be fully replaced by artificial intelligence or data-driven decision making. Data can be processed because of historic empirical data. Everything can be done. You can do repetitive processes. You can create large language models. You can create AI agents to do repetitive tasks. For example, follow an innovation process. How to create PowerPoint or anything. It could be even large activities like automating robotic machines on the shop floor. Everything's possible. But how the shop robot's hand will move is the brain of the human being. You can still have precision measurement, but how it should move. And earlier they only had things which moved like this. Now there is artificial which is moving like an octopus. But how it should do? An octopus can move, but can it hold my hand in the right way? Who's going to define that? It has to be a human brain. So things like that. Even the emotional quotient of it. How does machine have emotional quotient?
But don't you think that those are like one-step problems? Like, for example, dexterity that you mentioned. Once it's solved, it's solved.
It's solved, but again, it's only for one specific thing. And there can be many other multiple things that it has to hold. How does that come in?
Okay.
You're training it, but then there's some more requirements which will keep on coming in. And that everything cannot be trained. The human emotional aspect cannot be trained. The righteousness cannot be trained. You still need a human to run it.
Okay.
If it fails, then what? I taught him everything. Then the robot fails.
Okay.
Then what do you do?
That's a very thought-provoking question. On that note, I would like to say thanks a lot. It was enormous pleasure talking to you and very
Thank you for
enlightening.
giving me this opportunity, Raj. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. Subscribe to Career Stories. Thank you.